Yo, what's going on, Hoops Tribe? We are in for another episode of Let's Talk Hoops. Daydream 101. How you doing today, fam?
Oh, I am doing so great after this weekend of hoops. We are so back.
Oh my God. The first week of the regular season, it feels like we're deep in the season at this point. These games have been tight. When I say the competition is top tier, I'm excited. We got Nafisa Collier scoring 34 points. We got Kelsey Plum scoring 37 points in her debut. That's crazy. But before we get into the matchups, let's just go down the injury report. Can you give us the injury report for this week?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, what we have this week in the Mystics versus Atlanta game, Jordan Canada is still out with her lower leg injury. They're going to be reevaluating her again to see when she's going to be able to return. So, hopefully, that'll be in another couple of weeks. Aaliyah Edwards is still out with that lower back contusion. Ray Burrell, unfortunately, went down with the lower knee injury. So, she's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Kalia Copper is also out for 4 to 6 weeks with her knee. Alana Smith is day to day with her quad. Natasha Mack is expected to be out 2 to 3 weeks with her back. Anissa Morrow, day to day with her knee. And Kayla McBride is still out for personal reasons. That is a long injury report for just 2 days of gameplay this season.
And Kayla McBride, I'm really concerned about the personal issues because I felt like I saw a glimpse of some things in Unrivaled. So I'm just wishing her the best. And I hope that she makes a full recovery, especially if it's concerning like mental health. So moving into the Sparks versus Golden State, where Kelsey Plum had her big debut. Honestly, that was great for Kelsey Plum, but I didn't see a strong output from the Sparks. I think that the Valkyries showed some improvements. They're still that scrappy team that we saw in the preseason. I'm still not sold on that lineup with Veronica Burton. I feel like Natalie Nakase is prioritizing defense with that decision, but I still am preferring Julie Van Loo in that starting lineup, and I would love to see that progress as the season goes to see her make it in that starting five. What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think either Van Loo or Carla Late should be in that starting five, especially Van Loo. I mean, she's just a great facilitator, and she knows how to be patient, right? To wait for the cuts to distribute well so that we're not having a whole bunch of turnovers, which, is an issue that I see with both teams. I This is going to be a long season for both teams. It's just I'm gotta be honest, it's gonna be a long season for both teams. The Sparks look a little bit better, but not quite that much better than last year. I mean, when you have some of your starters going 33% starting off in the first game, I mean, I get it. It's just day one, but that doesn't bode too well for me. Kelsey Plum having to take on the bulk of the scoring, I feel like also is going to be an issue because
Right,
there's going to be some times where she has taller guards on her that are going to
right.
shut her down. So, everyone else has to start contributing. And with Ray being out, you're losing some of that length that can contribute. Um, and for the Valkyries, I need Kate Martin. I'm gonna give her a little grace because she is coming back from a hand injury and she's still working through that. But I need Kate Martin to step up. I need Kate Martin to be Iowa Kate Martin that we saw and even that we saw glimpses of it unrivaled. Um, Tiffany Hayes, she's gonna be on the floor all season. Let's just prepare ourselves for it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get any better with that. And I'm starting to see had they kept a couple of players, they might have had a little bit better rebounding. They might have had a little bit better rim protection, but it's gonna be a long season. We're just gonna ride it through. Um, that's all I got.
One thing I wanted to note was Timmy Benlay had a really strong offensive output, and that's something that we didn't get to see much from her in Indiana. I just feel like the game plan was different for her in Indiana as it is with the Valkyries. So I'm excited to see more of that and how she ends up progressing because we already know that she's a dog defensively. So seeing her produce more offensively is just it's just showing great promise. One thing I also wanted to point out is I learned a little bit more about the Valkyries' identity. So, a Valkyrie in Norse mythology is a group of female figures who act as selectors of fallen warriors. And I just think that's really interesting when you look at the makeup of their roster, right? They are a team, I've said it before, full of six players, full of players that didn't see a lot of playing time on their respective teams before coming to the Valkyries. So I really like that. I love when teams you actually know the identity of a team, and that's it's easy marketability, and it makes you as a fan connect with them more. So now I know that they're underdogs, and I hope they continue with that, just to see what it looks like. Can a group of six players turn into contenders eventually? So I just wanted to point that out for people who may not have known. Now the big question is, will the Valkyries be plus 500 at the end of the season? Will they be one of the only franchises in history to do that?
I mean, the way it's looking right now, no. But, but, day one, start of the season, I'm gonna give them some grace. I think actually that they will be plus 500 after the All-Star break. I have an idea that that's just going to go up around that time. We typically see with teams that start off kind of rough, they start to gel around that time. So I think we're going to see a late season push by them. They're not going to make playoffs, but they're going to attempt to and they're going to compete. And I think we're going to see a lot of these six players that we may have seen glimpses of over the years or last season really step up and really show what they have in their bag that when they weren't getting the plays run for them, when they didn't have the ball in their hand a lot.
Yeah, honestly, they competed with the Sparks up until maybe the fourth quarter. Like the second half is really when things started to fall apart a little bit. And that's really where the better teams end up revealing themselves is in that second half. So I don't think that they're going to be plus 500. I think that they're going to be a harder team to beat. Like you don't want to sleep on them, but I don't think they're being plus 500 this season. So moving into the Dream versus Mystics, we were actually there. We were in that atmosphere. That was my first experience in DC, and I have to say I want to go back. The Mystics have
A
the Mystics have a really great fan base. I was talking to everyone around me. It was just, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. If you haven't been to DC to go to a Mystic game, definitely experience it for yourself. And I gotta recommend the crab cake sandwich. Hey, I was a little disappointed with the options, but I was happy with that selection. That is if you go there, you got to get the crab cake sandwich. You're gonna spend like $25 on it. I ain't gonna hold you, but it's worth it. It's giving gourmet. So and also, the arena reminds me a little bit of where the Atlanta Dream play. Like it reminds me a little bit of Gateway. It might have a few more seats, but it has that really intimate feeling where you feel like you're really close. I had really great seats. And then afterwards, we had the rooftop rebound where a good bit of the Hoops tribe came. We met up and we talked hoops till about 2 a.m. Like it was just a great experience. I definitely have to do that in other cities. But what are your thoughts on the atmosphere of the first game?
Yeah, being in this arena is something that you can never get anywhere else. Like this first game, the energy was palpable. You can tell all the fans have been excited, quite frankly, since the draft. Since we drafted our rookies, since we made a couple of off-season I can't really say acquisitions, but more so off-season letting goes. But I'm starting to see the vision. I'm starting to see the vision, and the fans are starting to see the vision. So it was hyped. It was hyped. It was a good vibe. I mean, we had Fabo for the halftime performance. I mean, come on.
Oh, shout out to y'all for having Fabo because honestly, I was not expecting that. I didn't even look at the halftime performers, but y'all got D4L. That's how you treat Atlanta. That is an Atlanta legend. I was up there shaking my Laffy Taffy. So yeah, shout out to Fabo for that. I love that. And then the performance. Y'all did not let up on the entertainment. That was a great game and one of the best WNBA games I've gotten a chance to see live. If you don't know by now, Kiki Iriafen is my favorite rookie. That's my girl. She showed up because I wasn't expecting her to be in that starting lineup. Deidre actually hit me
Yeah.
up hours before the game, say, "Oh, your girl is in the lineup." I'm like, "Oh
Yup.
my God." I told y'all. And see, I wasn't even anticipating that happening so soon. I was like, okay, maybe mid-season. And the only reason I said mid-season is because I know how coaches can be. Like they want to go with what they know for a while. But hey, Sydney Johnson is taking the risk. And I love to see a coach take risk early in the season. And he took the risk and it paid off. She had a big game. Sonia Citron, also, rookie of the year contender, had a great
Hell
game.
yeah.
I think that is the that's the duo for the Mystics. That is their identity. I feel like that is who they need to be pushing right now to be the faces of the franchise. I think Kiki gives star power. Sonia Citron has the performance in the star power because of the rookies in this class and in last year's class just have a different presence in society. Like they are popular people. People want to follow them. They love their story. Those are your stars. Yeah, Mrs. Make it happen. Kiki Iriafen, that's your star power. Sonia Citron, that is your player of the year. Yeah, just invest in them.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I would love to point out here between Kiki and Sonia is I found this out just by watching some interviews after draft night, where they were talking about who was drafted, and Kiki, Sonia, and Georgia all naturally gravitated towards each other during the whole rookie intro, where they take them to the Empire State Building and where they are walking them around and doing all of the meeting of the WNBA and such. They all three of them gravitated to each other. So from draft night, they've had a bond. And they've also had them show up to events together. They've had them do interviews together. So I think having that bond already and competing so hardly against each other during the year, that's gonna be the duo to watch for sure. And a little fact, they are only the second duo in Mystics history to both score double digits in their opening game for the
Wow,
season.
that's
Yep.
crazy. That's crazy. So the rookies are making waves. I was frustrated with Atlanta the entire game. It
Yeah.
it was just from being so excited from preseason. I know preseason you can't take a lot of it seriously, but it's like a lid was on the basket for BG the entire first half of the game. And then the fourth quarter, she turned it on a little bit. And that showed what it could look like later in the season because she had games like that last season in Phoenix where she was as dry as a bone and that can happen, but Atlanta has to do more. And the reason Atlanta struggled was because of the Mystics defense. The
Yep.
Mystics wanted it more. They were really scrappy, especially in the guard position. They bothered Ryan Howard. They bothered Alicia Gray and Tahina Pow, but thankfully Alicia Gray was really the saving grace for Atlanta in a lot of moments, but they really bothered Ryan Howard. And I want to see more composure from her. At this point in her career, I'm looking at her as a vet. She hasn't been in the league that long, but at this point, she has to consider herself a vet, and she has to be a better leader for those younger players like Tahina Pow and for the entirety of the team because the attitude is going to transfer. Like the body language is going to transfer to her team. And what's happening right now is I also think the body language from Karl Smesko. I like his basketball mind, right? But his disposition as a head coach on the sideline, I think could be problematic going forward because he's really an even keeled guy. He doesn't show a lot of emotion other than when he's looking a little frustrated. And I think
Yeah.
when you're in the game and you're looking over at your coach and they're not looking satisfied, there's never like a moment of, trying to pick them up. Like coaches have to be coaches. And a part of coaching is lifting your players up. And I want to see a little more of that from Atlanta across the board, from the coaching staff to the players. I think that Naz Hillmon is that for the bench. I saw a lot of moments in the huddle where she was pepping up people on the sideline. She actually led the huddle for the bench players. That I see that Atlanta breaks off into groups right before the game starts. There's the starting five that huddle up, and then there's the bench players that huddle up, and Naz is leading that conversation for the bench. I want to see her be more of a leader if she has to be that leader for the starters as well, because right now we don't have a starter that is, being that vocal leader to reel the emotions in when it really matters, like down the stretch. And speaking of starters, Tahina Pow also made a start, and I was very excited about that. I was not expecting that so early in the season, but she did prove during the preseason that she has a good understanding of what Karl wants from the offense. She has some rookie mistakes. I will say that there were moments where she struggled because Suge Sutton was putting that defense on her. The Mystics in
Yep.
general were putting that defense on her. And it's a new level at this point when you're getting picked up full court and having to control the ball. You have to be tight with it at all times. So I think that was growing pains and sort of a welcome to the league moment. Like, oh, this defense is different. So I'm hoping to see that progress down the stretch. Shatori Walker-Kimbrough, she has some moments where I question her decision making, and it was a moment where there was a fast break and she passed it to Bree Jones at half court, and Bree turned it over, and Karl instantly was upset. I saw it in his face. I was like, oh, she about to get subbed out. And as soon as I said that, he looked to the bench and got her out of the game. So I can see that he's also a coach that won't tolerate too many mistakes. And then she's a veteran guard who should know better than that. So I'm starting to see some of the temperament. The real season has started. So, things are, we're taking things a lot more seriously. So we're just starting to see the personality of the dream. And I'm hoping that we can reel in some of those emotions as the season progresses.
Yeah, so on my end with the Mystics, actually a little bit on the Dream first. I'm glad that you brought up Naz Hillmon and her leadership because that is something that was underrated last season that wasn't talked about a lot was how much leadership she provides and how she's always vocal. She is the most vocal Dream player on that court when she is in. So definitely giving her flowers for that. As for the Mystics, the rookies showed up more so than some of our vets. Our vets were having trouble. Shooting wise, Sykes, she went 30% from the field and she went 16% from three. The Atlanta defense bothered her a lot during the game, and she ended up getting most of her points from the foul line. For Sonia had Ryan in hell. Ryan hated to see Sonia coming that day. Like when I tell you holding Ryan Howard to what was it, 26% shooting, that's some good defense. And I've said to people before, Sonia's good on both sides of the ball. She had 19 points off of 6 for 7 shooting, which is 85.7% efficiency, and she was perfect from behind the arc. She only missed 2 shots all game. That was 1 2-point attempt and 1 free throw. Like, if that's not an early rookie of the year candidate, I don't know what is. In your first game, and then Kiki having 14 points, 4 rebounds. And here's the thing, offense, that's not even what I care about with Kiki. It was her defense on Bree Jones. It was her defense on BG. Like
Mm-hmm.
she backed down Bree Jones so many times to muscle in and get her layups. Like Kiki was on one and I loved it. And then even Lucy Olson, who is our third rookie that we have that's actively playing. I was watching a interview that Coach Johnson did where he said that Lucy may not get that much playing time, but the playing time that she does get, she's going to be effective in, and that's what he's using her for. So not only was her defense good, she forced a lot of passes. She also shot hanging in the Louvre. She shot a midi over BG as her first shot for her first points in her WNBA debut. I mean, come on now. Like shooting over BG is hard. We can see that.
Right.
Um and then I thought both teams overall had excellent ball movement. Washington had 18 assists, Atlanta had 24 assists. What's very interesting that I know is Atlanta killed Washington in most of the points, most of the statistics and when you compare the two teams, except turnovers. Atlanta has 16 turnovers to Washington's 9, which Washington was able to capitalize 20 points off of that 16 turnovers. So I think that's an issue that Atlanta's going to have to clean up a little bit. I would love to see Washington clean up our turnovers a little bit. I would love to see our vets getting a little bit more active. I mean, Dolson wasn't really getting much touches, but at the same time, wasn't really grabbing rebounds, which I think that's where we really miss Shakira's presence at. And I thought that Atlanta was able to collapse our defense a little bit too often too, to get some easy shots.
Yeah, Atlanta has to clean up the turnovers, but they also have to attack the rim more. I'm not a fan of some of the perimeter shots that we were taking, but I'll have more on that Atlanta Dream versus Washington Mystics matchup in my rooftop rebound. Uh, in my rooftop rebound recap, I also got a chance to talk to former WNBA star Sonia. I also got a chance to talk to former WNBA star Sonia Chase. So look out for the rooftop rebound recap. Since we're on the subject of Sonia, Citron, rookie of the year thoughts. For me, I think it looks like Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriafen, Paige Beckers in that race. Right now, that's what it looks like just based off of the debuts. Sonia had the best, I feel like a holistic game compared to the two that I mentioned. She has a more well-rounded game than those in her debut. What are your thoughts on the rookie of the year at this point?
Yeah, I've been pushing Sonia Citron Rookie of the Year since the first preseason game. I have been pushing it since then because I like she's silent but deadly. Like she's like a Stewie, right? You look up and she racked up 20 points. Like had she made the one shot she missed, she would have been over 20 points for her debut. And that's been Sonia's game all throughout Notre Dame is she's effective but not flashy. So you don't even really see a lot of the things until you rewatch the game. So I think that she definitely does have a good case of rookie for the year, a rookie of the year. I think Kiki also has a good case, and I think Paige, as she gets more comfortable running that Dallas offense, like she'll be up there too. So I agree with you on those three, but in my heart, I'm going Sonia. I think that she's going to be the rookie of the year.
We'll see as the season progresses. I will say when comparing Sonia's debut to Paige Beckers' debut, I think Paige had a stronger defensive matchup. They played Minnesota to start out, and Minnesota by far is one of the best defensive teams in the league. So comparing Minnesota to Dallas, I want to see Sonia up against a Minnesota, up against a strong guard defender to see how well her offense looks in that regard. But hey, right now I'm with you. Sonia is up to par, and I think she's just showing out. She's showing up and showing out in the W, and I'm really happy about it. And speaking of Dallas, so we saw Teaira McCowan. She only had 5 minutes against Minnesota. What are your thoughts on Teaira McCowan and her place in Dallas this year?
I don't see a place for her in Dallas. Quite frankly, I haven't seen a place for her in Dallas since last season. I don't know what it is when she comes back here from being overseas, but she's not as aggressive. She doesn't seem to be really fighting or wanting to get the rebounds, and her finishes at the rim haven't been great. I just I don't know what to do about that, right? Because she's on a protected contract, so she would need to be traded. But it's like, what team is going to take a chance on a player that just doesn't seem to have their head in the game, so to speak? Doesn't seem like they really want it. Doesn't seem like they want to go out there and fight for their team and win for their team. And I think that's something where we're going to see she's just going to have low minutes. She's going to have low minutes until she wants it and she wants to step up for it. Now, could Dallas use a younger big? Absolutely, they could. But right now, their young big is temporarily suspended because she's overseas, fulfilling her overseas commitments. So I think when she comes back, we're gonna see T Mac get much less minutes. And I was actually surprised that Hines Allen's starting, but then not surprised because in the preseason game, Hines Allen was out there fighting. She was out there putting pressure on Fee. She was putting pressure on Jessica Shepard when she was matched up against her. So I can see why he opted to go with Hines Allen over Mac. And also, what, she's 6'7", right?
Yes,
You have height. Why are you not using your height? That's what I think that's the problem that I have with a lot of the centers in this league is they're
absolutely.
tall, but they're not using their height, right?
Right.
There is no reason why a 5'7", 5'8" guard should be getting more rebounds than you. There even your 6 foot guards, like there's no reason why they should be getting more rebounds than you. You should be if you can't get the rebound, deflect the ball out to one of your other players so that they can grab it. Like I just see more effort. But what are you thinking?
I just think it's a matter of, or it could be a matter of, because I don't know her headspace. She doesn't want to be in Dallas. So that's why we're getting the lackluster performances. And you're right. What team is going to want her because she's not making herself appear valuable to even be traded? So it seems like she wants out of Dallas, but she's also not doing anything. She's not being proactive to move herself out of Dallas. I think that Dallas actually wanted to be rid of her and Kalani Brown, but Kalani Brown was able to be effectively traded. Was she traded or was Kalani Brown picked up in free agency? Do you remember?
She was traded.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
Kalani Brown was more attractive of a trade. They got Kalani Brown out, and it might have just been a matter of they had no place for Teaira McCowan to go. So she's in that protective contract. I don't know why teams just don't bite the bullet and buy people out of their contracts. Maybe they think that as a waste of funds. But I think that players like Teaira McCowan can be detriments to the team. The energy transfers. And I don't know what she's giving them in practice, but if it's any indication of what she gives on the bench and during the games, I wouldn't even want her in the locker room. That's just
Yeah,
me.
and yeah. And you mentioned body language earlier, right? And how that can affect your teammates and how that can bring your teammates down. Her body language isn't good. Her body language hasn't been good. So I agree with you that it's definitely speaking of like, I just don't want to be in this organization or this place. But I mean, if you're not gonna do a buyout or if they can't trade you, your only other choice really is to just show up because next year's free agency. You're not giving people anything to say, yeah, I want you.
Right. Right. You it's what do they call that? Like self-destruction or
Yeah.
self-sabotage. That's what's happening. She's self-sabotaging. And when players do that, I do kind of wonder about, other things that may be going on outside of basketball. So hopefully some of these teams are investing in like sports psychologists or like therapy, like emphasizing the mental state because as a person, I don't know her, so I'm definitely still wishing her the best. But when it comes to the on the court in the game, she might need to be out of the locker room, out of the organization. So moving into one of the more exciting matchups of this first week, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky. Oh my God. So I was just so disappointed in what I saw from Chicago, but I was not necessarily surprised because I was disappointed in Chicago when they played Brazil. So seeing how they played Brazil in that preseason, I was like, I'm worried about what they're going to look like during the season. I've been worrying about them since last season. And that's
Yeah.
why I had them so low on my rankings. I had them ranked as 10th. But at this point, watching this game, that may have been too generous. It's hard for me to judge Indiana at this point because Chicago's defense was so out of sorts, but they appeared to be meshing really well. I like the ball movement that I saw from them, but I want to see it matched up against a better defensive team. What are your thoughts on Indiana versus Chicago?
Yeah, unfortunately, Chicago did not look good. The guards were got beat on fast break opportunities a lot, and it's something that Indiana did last season that I noticed when a team is not playing with their normal speed or normal pace, Indiana speeds them up and takes them out of their pace. And when you have a backcourt of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell that are two fast guards, and even Lexi Hull, you're gonna be taken out of your pace. So teams have to do better to control the pace And I think that's going to be an issue for Chicago, unfortunately, is they want to play with pace, but if you allow another team to take you out of it, there's no way you're going to get back on track. And that's what we noticed. And also the turnovers. They had 19 turnovers during the game, which Indiana was able to capitalize 24 points off of that. So I think that's going to be an issue. And their defense didn't look as good as Chicago is known for. And I'm not 100% concerned right now. I feel like, when we get a few more games into the season, we'll be able to notice, and I'm hoping we'll be able to notice a little bit more. I wish Haley Van Lith would have gotten a little bit more time to play. And the reason being is I think that Haley Van Lith, especially for the bench unit, can set that pace for Chicago. And that's what they needed.
I'm wondering, with HVL struggling with an ankle injury, was the decision to only play her for like 5 minutes due to that? They just saw the game being out of reach and just wanted to rest her. But I definitely wanted to see her get more minutes, especially since Sloot was struggling so much. Sloot just had an off game. She couldn't make anything. She looked a bit slower. In general, I think that Chicago is going to have an issue with pace because they are a slower team. And when we talk about a team's identity, what is Chicago's identity at this point? We know that they advertise, them having the skyscrapers with Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese. Speaking of Angel Reese, she did everything that she could for Chicago, running the offense, being that point forward, but I don't think that is sustainable for Chicago. She's a bigger player. So she's exerting more energy. That's going to affect her conditioning and her fatigue. She's not conditioned well enough yet to run that position as often as she did during this matchup. This game could have been used as a conditioning, piece. And Indiana is one of the fastest paced teams in the league. So it was a good bout of conditioning for her, but I don't think that that's where she needs to be as much as she was in this matchup. I want for the identity of Chicago to be more of a 1-2 push. I feel like they're prioritizing Camila Cardoso. My thoughts on Cardoso is that she is not there yet. Like, I know what they want. It's like I see where they're going with the vision, but she is not that player to put your team on the back of. She's not strong enough yet. She doesn't have the experience yet. She's not as conditioned yet. It's just so many things. She's still learning. She's still trying to find her footing in the league. I like how I like some moments between her and Reese during that game, but it still has to gel more. Something needs to change within that offense to prioritize that high low more. It looks like a lot of perimeter action that's going on. And Kia Nurse is a 3-point shooter. Beck Allen is a 3-point shooter, but I don't want that to be the center focus of the offense. I don't want the perimeter play and Cardoso to be just like the main things. It has to be that high low action because that's what's going to draw the attention. Angel Reese is going to draw attention, and that's how she gets those passes off. She's still the best passer to Cardoso. I think Nurse still needs to get more gelling because there were a lot of passes that she missed off of the pick and rolls. So yeah, I'm not sold on this offense right now.
I also would like to see Elizabeth Williams in starting lineup over Cardoso.
Absolutely.
Um, I want to see that. I feel like Ewell being healthy and coming back, she looks better than she ever has before. I think she is, like you said, Cardoso's conditioning's not there, her training's not really there quite yet. I think that Ewell is more aggressive when she's in the paint, so I would like to see her start instead. And I would actually like to see Michaela start over Kia Nurse. I think Michaela brings better defensive energy. She reads the cuts better. I think she also has good passes to Cardoso or Williams. So those are some changes I would like to see Chicago do. I think that they really should rely more so on their mid-range shooters versus doing perimeter and just Cardozo. I think they have very good effective mid-range shooters with I've always said when Atkins is on, she's on. And I mean, even her last performance in the game, she was 3 of 6 from the field and 2 of 2 from three. I mean, that's when she gets her touches, that's what she's gonna do. Um, I don't know. I want Chicago to do so well so badly,
Right.
but I'm just not seeing the vision right now. I'm really not. And if we're gonna have Angel running point forward, everyone else has to step up to get the rebounds, right? Because if she's
Right.
pulled out, who's gonna be there to get the rebound? Like, and that's something that they struggled with when in Minnesota. That was something that they struggled with in Brazil as well, when she was out. And that was something that they struggled with last year. So it's like I would like to see that cleaned up a little bit.
The only thing with Michaela Onyenwere going into that starting lineup, she has bouts where she is just inconsistent. Like in this matchup, she went 0 for 7. I
Yeah.
like Beck Allen in the starting lineup over Nurse. I like Beck Allen's defense. I like that she has that 3-point shot so she can be a threat from out there. So it will help open up things for the high post, for the low post, for really any of the actions that they want to run to have that perimeter shooting. I think Michaela Onyenwere coming off of the bench until she can prove that she can be consistent. I like that decision. I don't know how much I like Nurse there. So moving into Indiana's performance, what did you like from Caitlin Clark's debut? What did you like from that starting five?
I like their ball movement. They had really good ball movement. I thought they had good cuts. They were playing with pace. I liked for Aaliyah Boston had a big game. I think she was very effective. Um, she was very effective on the block. I was not surprised that Bree Turner going 0 for 1 and her 5 minutes that she played. I also really wasn't surprised at Lexi's performance coming off the bench. I think she did what she always does. She typically stays within that 40 to 45% shooting range. DB, listen, I know DB broke the record, but 22% DB, 22% from the field, like being 2 of 9. This is what you mentioned back in what episode 1 or episode 2, which is that when DB has these spouts where she goes cold or she's having a bad shooting night, this is what happens. Like this is the things that we're seeing.
Yeah, so speaking of DB, she did make she moved up in the WNBA all-time leading scorer ranking. So she's third at this point, only after Diana Taurasi and Tina Charles. So shout out to her for that accolade. She has 7 points. Honestly, it was a little bit of stat padding because she also got put back into the game to break that record, and she broke the record off of free throws, although we know that she was going to move up regardless. So I mean, it's still a great achievement, but I like to throw out the stat padding word since that everybody was so big on it last season. So anytime I see it, especially on the Indiana Fever team, I'm calling out. Speaking of another stat padding
Yeah,
opportunity was
I was about to
Caitlin
say another
Clark.
one.
Oh yeah. Caitlin Clark earning that triple double, and now she's tied with Candace Parker at the most triple doubles. Although I believe we're going to see more triple doubles for Caitlin Clark. That was definitely a moment of stat padding. She asked to come back in the game, and that was confirmed on the broadcast. Now,
Hmm.
something that was recently brought to my attention on that particular instance is that Dave Portnoy,
Yeah.
he won a 350K bet because of Caitlin Clark's triple double.
Yep.
That seems a
I
little fishy to me.
Listen, if Kathy want to investigate the aces so much, Kathy need to investigate this too.
They need to
Because
investigate that. Absolutely.
let's okay, so for those who are not familiar with who this man is, he runs Barstool Sports and he has spent the entire last 2 years tearing down Angel Reese, tearing down any black players within the league. And he has been hyping up Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, you name it. He also had Barstool Sports create a parody account for a basketball team in which he trolled numerous WNBA IG accounts, and he spammed their accounts with hate comments. And this is the man that was courtside at the Indiana Fever who cashed in a 350K bet on Caitlin Clark's triple double. So
Courtside at the game after the WNBA put out a statement that there's no place for hate, and he's
exactly.
literally a driving force in the hate. So if we're going to do these like blanketed statements and not be direct, the WNBA has to follow up on what they're saying. If there's no place for hate, he shouldn't even be in the building, to be honest. Knowing what we know, he shouldn't even be there. The fact that Caitlin Clark asked to come back in the game, and then we saw before the game that Dave was having a conversation with Sophie Cunningham. He was there talking to the Indiana Fever players. That seems like
Mm-hmm.
that was planned. So if we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
do investigations and we're gonna investigate certain teams, we got to investigate all teams. That seems fishy to me. 350K is a substantial amount of money, and he's on X bragging about it. We know this information because he put this information out. So
Yep.
yeah, we have to do something about that because there's no place in sports for that type of thing because we've already been drilling, the WNBA for the results of last year's finals because Kathy
Yep.
Engelbert came to the game with a New York, the Empire State Building on her dress.
Which
As a
which Miss Ma'am,
as
Miss
a
Ma'am.
commissioner, you're coming to a finals game, a deciding game with the Empire State Building on your dress when New York is in the finals. They're not even like hiding it anymore. And it's just
No.
disrespectful to the fans. It's disrespectful to the integrity of sports. So yeah, I'm calling y'all out right now. If there's no investigation on this, I'm dragging y'all for the rest of the season. That's just how it's gonna go.
I'd also like to point out that this morning, the first thing that the WNBA posted was about the historic night for the Fever in Gainbridge Center. I would I would love to shout out to all the fans who are giving them the business and saying historic night of racism because also we heard that from people that were there that they were making monkey noises when Angel Reese went to the line to shoot her free throws. And I just, for me, being a yes, I identify as non-binary, but I'm a black woman, right? That's what I am. So I wonder how the Indiana Fever players feel. The team is mostly black women. You're in this arena, your home arena, and they're making monkey noises towards another black player. Like, I personally wouldn't feel okay with that.
Honestly, I don't wonder how they feel. Anybody that plays for Indiana is choosing to play for Indiana. So I don't wonder how they feel. I feel like they are letting us know how they feel. I do not
Yep,
I don't sympathize or empathize with them. At this point, they've chosen the way. And
they
they
have.
that's where I'm at with them. And then we have to talk about because everybody's talking about it. The flagrant
Yeah.
foul. Personally, I called it weak. I still stand on that. I thought the push was weak in general. It was just unnecessary. And then I thought that Angel, of course, embellished a little bit, as all players do, because she wants to draw the foul. I thought that she was right to react the way that she reacted because you're not about to push me. I'm sorry. Like I play,
Absolutely.
I play too much basketball. I've been involved in too many little scuffles to know how this thing goes. When you push somebody like that and then you stare them down, you're
Yo, the stare down
inciting
was crazy.
violence. The stare down is
Yes.
crazy. And then turning
Crazy.
around so your teammates just, you know your teammates are going to clean up the mess for you. They are never beating the allegations. Like the Indiana Fever I will never root for them, even though I almost like them. They almost had a moment where I was like, you know what? They aren't so bad because I watched the Aaliyah Boston Tea Party and I thought that was cute. They showed their personality, but it's just their encore antics I can never get behind.
And that's the thing. That is the thing for me that really sealed it with this last game. You know me, I try to be pretty even about them and not jump on the hate bandwagon or jump on the absolute love bandwagon. But that sealed it for me. The fact that you pushing, fine, whatever, that's part of the game. It happens. We know this. Most players just get up right afterwards and go play. But the stare down was unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary. And I get that she was upset that Howard's push wasn't called, but Howard got back up like a vet and continued to play. She didn't give up on the play. But also, let's talk about the fact that Howard was pushing players all game. All game. Atkins got a rebound and went to pass it off, and Howard pushed her and she lost the ball. but none of the Sky players were freaking out about that or, added their own push instead. And I think for me that was my last straw. I can't continue to it was my last straw. I cannot continue to sit here and be even about it when they're continuing to show time and time again that the on-court antics are just not it. And I it's frustrating because we have not had a season yet where there is not something that happens within the opening game of these two teams.
And
We
we
haven't
got to
had a
experience
single
this
season.
four more times. They have four more times to
Exactly.
play. We don't know peace. We aren't gonna know peace for the entirety of the season because they're pushing this narrative. And then now the players are buying into it. We have Caitlin
Yes.
Clark. I don't remember seeing Caitlin Clark stare down a player like ever in her career
Ever.
of me watching her play, like all through college. I have never seen her act like that. So now I feel like she's also buying into this narrative. She has people behind her. Angel Reese is buying into the narrative. I'm just over it because at the end of the day, they don't play
Yes.
the same position. It's not a rivalry. Indiana is a better team by far. Really, what are we talking about?
Right, right. And quite frankly, when you really break it down and look at it, there's no need for any of this, right? Chicago only beat Indiana once last year. Indiana beat them and a couple of times beat them badly. And that's no hate to the Sky. I root for the Sky, but it's just
Right.
the truth. At this point, Indiana is a better team. They look like a more well-oiled team. They although they lose their composure, they have different ways of being more aggressive, getting the ball when they really want it versus Chicago. And I think it sucks because no matter what Angel does, it's gonna be spun in some manner that's gonna be bad. Whereas like all the headlines yesterday, it wasn't, oh, Caitlin Clark hard foul Angel Reese. It was Caitlin Clark's team dominated Angel Reese with a hard foul. And I'm like, that's part of the problem. Like, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of the new fans popping up, saying all this random shit about Angel and about Caitlyn, and saying how one is better than the other. One is a guard, one is a forward center. They will never have the same responsibilities on the court. Please, for the love of God, stop comparing them.
Just let
If
it
you want to,
go.
right, if you want to compare someone, compare Caitlyn to Enrique, compare Caitlyn to Sabrina,
You can compare
compare
Paige, Caitlin and Paige. You can
exactly
compare them.
anyone else but Angel and Caitlyn. And what's sad about this is if it was any other team that happened, we would not be talking about it this much. If it was any other players, we would not be talking about it this much. But because it's Angel and Caitlyn, and Kathy is so hell bent on pushing this stupid bird magic narrative, why are we comparing the W to the NBA? Can we not? Can we just not?
I'm over it.
Yes.
Moving into a matchup of actual, like an actual matchup, something that we that we can actually compare. The Liberty versus Aces, the reigning
Ooh.
champs versus the former reigning champs. What do you think of this matchup?
So, I fear that Las Vegas has not changed since last season when it comes against the Liberty. They got beat on the backdoor cuts. The lane was wide open for the Liberty. And I'm not understanding. I get that Becky is having the players switch to defend, but it's not working. It has never worked against the Liberty. It leaves the lane open. It leaves them susceptible to more paint points, and that is a problem that I've noticed. They outscored them 56 to 32. The Liberty 56 to 32 in paint points. They were taking away the paint from the Aces every time I saw Chelsea muscle in for a shot or I saw someone else muscle in for a shot when there were four defenders on them. It's like you can't continue to do that. It doesn't work against this team. Um,
I don't think it works in general. And interestingly enough, I saw a lot of similarities between the Aces and Chicago. And knowing the history of the connection, Tyler Marsh being a part of the Aces program for some time, I just found that was interesting. The help defense was non-existent, and that's similar to how they run defense in the NBA. There
yep.
isn't a lot of help in the NBA because individual players are so skilled, right? They don't want to sag too far off of someone because that time that it takes to recover, that's a bucket. I don't think that ideology works in the W, and it's definitely not going to work against the Liberty. They have to have help side defense. And obviously help side defense works because the Liberty had great help side defense.
Yeah.
And the defense, they were able to effectively guard Asia Wilson. They double teamed every time they could. And that's because honestly, the Aces weren't moving a lot. They were standing still. The spacing was off. So many things, so many things.
That's the problem I have with the Aces offense is to become stagnant at times, right? And we've discussed before that it can't be stagnant. You have to be moving. You have to make better off-ball movements to get people free and open. And I think that's good. That's going to be an issue. I will say Natasha Cloud did her thing with her 9 assists with the Liberty.
She looked
I
great.
thought that she looked like their missing piece. And I also want to say that the Beck Gardner surprised me. She had really nice on and off ball movements, especially when she was guarding Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young. So I think that she's going to be. I've said it before. I'm still dying on this hill that she's a great acquisition for the Liberty, and I fear that the Liberty might be closer to a repeat
Oh yeah,
than I'd like
absolutely.
to admit.
I don't see a team that is better than the Liberty at this point. I had no idea they were going to come into this season as strong as they did. They're looking a lot stronger than Minnesota, who I believe was going to go on a tear because of how they lost in the finals. But the Liberty, they're still playing like they have a chip on their shoulders. They're playing like they got something to prove for the city of New York. So
Yeah.
Beck Gardner, I saw her looking really well in the preseason. So I'm actually not surprised that she looked so strong for them in this opening game. Now, what did surprise me was Dana Evans being a bright
Oh
spot for the
yes.
Aces. 10 points off of the bench, 4 for 7 from the floor. She looked better than Jewell Loyd. Jewell Loyd shot
Yes.
20%, had the worst plus minus, did not space the floor well. There were times where she was the reason that Asia Wilson was double teamed because she was standing in her space. She hasn't learned to move around and clear out that space for Wilson just yet. Her shooting still looks a lot like it did in Seattle. And there's so much chatter about, well, Seattle's issue with Skylar Diggins Smith or Jewell Loyd's issue with Skylar Diggins Smith. What is the excuse now? What are we
Right.
blaming it on now that she's still shooting 20%? She's still not efficient. What's the issue?
So Dana absolutely surprised me with her play and being a spark off the bench. She was on Sabrina's ass. She did not let up. She did not let up on anyone that she was defending, which is what we come to expect from Dana, right? Her offensive production was good. I thought she was taking smarter shots than she normally does. And I think being in the Aces environment and having a coach like Becky who is not afraid to bench you and make you sit when you're messing up was what she needed to like really show that she still has it. I also want to highlight Kennedy Burke from the Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she had a really good game as well. And I think that Kennedy, I'm going to say it now, I think that she also has a case for most improved player. And I think that she has a case for sixth woman of the year as well. This was not the same Kennedy Burke that I saw last year playing for the Liberty. This is a more confident Kennedy Burke. This is a Kennedy Burke who's knows her place and wants to do everything that she can to get her team to win.
She's definitely going to be a pivotal piece for the Liberty while Benijah Laney Hamilton is out. Her stepping up is necessary. Leonie Phoebus didn't get a chance to really get going in this game. I know she hasn't practiced with them much because she's really just getting back in the States. I'm wondering how they end up rotating Johannes more into the lineup because I think with Johannes's preseason performance, I would have liked to see her get a little more playing time, but we'll see how it goes as the season progresses. Now, we mentioned Seattle. Seattle had a showing against Phoenix. Satu Sably went off.
Yeah.
I'm liking how she looks in Phoenix. I'm liking the energy that she brings. And I mentioned before that I don't know how the temperament is going to be in Phoenix. I don't know if they have that vocal leader. It looks like Satu is stepping up in that role, and I might have misjudged. I am not afraid to say that I was wrong about something, but if Satu continues the way that she did in this first game, Phoenix is going to be a lot better than people anticipated.
I also think to Satu's credit as well, she wanted it. She wanted this win more. She put that team on her back to really do the best that she could to distribute, as well as make the timely cuts. She had that really nice block early on in the game. I I just I was concerned about Phoenix going into this because obviously when you dismantle a team almost completely and you're bringing in a lot of new pieces, it's 50-50 on if it's going to work or not. But I thought they had a really strong showing. I loved what I saw from Catherine Westbeld
Mm-hmm.
within her debut as a rookie. And unfortunately, we're going to hear that narrative of the 29-year-old rookie all year. But I really liked her. She was 3 of 5 from the field on 60% shooting. I thought she was aggressive. I thought she was really running in to kind of clean up plays so they wouldn't be broken. And Seattle, I posted a thread that says Seattle, hello, what is going on? I am still asking Seattle, hello, what is going on? Because when you have your starters in single digits and when your starters are in single digits or no points whatsoever, that is not going to help your team.
To Seattle's defense, they only had one preseason game and they haven't got a chance to really gel together because a lot of those players that we saw in this showing didn't even play in the preseason game. And then their younger Dominique Malonga hasn't got her footing in the W just yet. So I'm giving Seattle a little bit of grace, but Skylar Diggins is not going to be able to do it alone. They have to score. Other players have to score. They were missing a lot of gimmies, a lot of things that they would typically make. So I'm going to give Seattle a little bit more time to gel because this is really their first official showing.
Yep, that is true. Because we only saw highlights from that close scrimmage that they had with the Sparks. Also, the turnovers for both of these teams was high. We had 13 turnovers for Seattle and 17 turnovers from Phoenix. What I did like was that Phoenix came out and punched early and they stayed on Seattle. They never let up off the gas. For Phoenix to do that without Ka, who is a huge part of their offense, and to do that without Mac, who's a huge like paint defender for them, I thought they did really well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Phoenix is definitely going to be a team to look out for. They look like they're going to be a harder team to beat. I'm looking forward to seeing Seattle do better. I know that this isn't a representation of who they're going to be for the rest of the season. So Juno 1963 had the question of which team do we think made the best improvements. I'm going to give it to Phoenix and New York. If I'm comparing their showings from the preseason, I think that these teams have made the best improvements thus far. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I think Phoenix and New York are the two teams that made the better improvements. I mean, Minnesota was okay. They're still missing Mac, but I was not expecting both Phoenix and New York to look like well-oiled machines, which they really did come out looking that way.
Mm-hmm. And Mei Chung asks, where to next on the WNBA tour? So I won't be going too far. My next game is going to be Chicago versus the Atlanta Dream, and that's coming up soon. And then in July, I'll be in New York for the New York Liberty game. And then moving into August, I'll be in Seattle. I'm going to keep you all posted on more things to come. I'm definitely going to try to have more gatherings when I come into these cities so we can continue to fellowship and get together. We have a lot of exciting upcoming matchups for this week. So we're definitely going to be back next Sunday for another episode of Let's Talk Hoops. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Let's talk hoops.